What's up, Wrestle Scope Nation? And let me tell you something right now. What I'm about to show you is going to absolutely blow your mind. We are talking about one of the most vicious, most brutal, most absolutely disrespectful attacks we have seen in WWE in years. Austin Theory thought he was clever. He thought he could play mind games with a monster. He thought he could mask up, sneak around, and mess with Bron Breakker without consequences. Well, guess what? Austin Theory just learned the hardest lesson of his entire career. When you mess with a second-generation pitbull like Bron Breakker, you don't just get bitten. You get mauled. And I've got receipts, I've got footage, I've got everything you need to see to understand why this might be the end of Austin Theory as we know him. So buckle up because this is going to get intense. Hello viewers, if you're new here, please don't forget to like and hit the subscribe button for daily updates on WWE Raw. Let me ask you something, Wrestle Scope family, and I want you to really think about this. What kind of coward hides behind a mask? What kind of spineless individual attacks someone week after week, causing them to lose matches, costing them opportunities, and then has the audacity to think there won't be consequences? Because that's exactly what Austin Theory did. For weeks, and I mean weeks, we watched a masked man terrorize Bron Breakker. We watched this mysterious figure cost Bron championship opportunities. We watched him attack Bron from behind. We watched him destroy Bron's property. And the entire time, Austin Theory was sitting in the locker room, smiling, taking selfies, acting like he had nothing to do with it. But here's what really gets me fired up. Here's what makes my blood boil. Austin Theory actually thought he was going to get away with it. He actually believed that when that mask came off, he could just laugh it off, flash that pretty boy smile, and walk away unscathed. Wrong. Dead wrong. What Austin Theory failed to realize is that Bron Breakker isn't just any WWE superstar. This isn't some guy you can mess with and expect a slap on the wrist. This is the son of Rick Steiner, the nephew of Scott Steiner. This is a man with pitbull DNA running through his veins. And when you poke a pitbull, when you torture a pitbull for weeks on end, eventually, that pitbull breaks free from its chain. And what happened to Austin Theory is what should happen to anyone stupid enough to play these kinds of games. Now, before we get into the destruction, and trust me, the destruction is coming, we need to understand exactly how we got here. Because this wasn't just a random attack. This wasn't just two guys having beef. This was weeks of psychological warfare that finally exploded in the most violent way possible. Let's rewind to about 6 weeks ago. Bron Breakker was on an absolute tear through the WWE roster. The man was unstoppable. He was putting guys through walls, hitting spears that looked like they broke people in half, and climbing the ranks faster than almost anyone in recent memory. Everybody in that locker room knew that Bron Breakker was destined for championship gold. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And then the attack started. It began subtly. A masked figure appearing in the background of backstage segments. Nothing crazy at first, just lurking, watching, studying. But then things escalated quickly. The masked man cost Bron a crucial match by pulling the referee out of the ring during a pinfall. Then he attacked Bron in the parking lot, hitting him with a steel chair and leaving him laid out next to his car. Week after week, this masked coward struck, and every single time he disappeared before anyone could catch him. The WWE universe went into detective mode. Twitter was blowing up with theories. Was it someone from Bron's past in NXT? Was it a main roster star looking to make a statement? Was it someone Bron had destroyed who wanted revenge? The speculation was endless. Meanwhile, Bron Breakker was going insane trying to figure out who was behind the mask. You could see it in his eyes, the frustration, the anger, the rage building up inside him. Every interview he promised that when he found out who the masked man was, he was going to end them. He was going to make an example out of them. And Bron Breakker is not the type of man to make empty threats. But here's where Austin Theory comes into play, and this is where the disrespect really starts to show its ugly face. Throughout this entire ordeal, Austin Theory was always nearby. He was always in the background of segments, always watching Bron's interviews with this smirk on his face. He would tweet cryptic messages. He would post selfies with captions like "Some people just don't see it coming," and "The future is clearer than you think." Looking back now, it's obvious what he was doing. He was taunting Bron the entire time.
Austin Theory has always been cocky. We know this. He's the guy who takes selfies with opponents he's just beaten. He's the guy who walks around like he's God's gift to professional wrestling. But this was a different level of arrogance. This was a man who thought he was so much smarter than everyone else that he could orchestrate this entire campaign of terror and never face the consequences. 2 weeks ago, things reached a boiling point. The Masked Man attacked Bron during a match, not after, not before, during. He ran down to the ring, hit Bron with a low blow that the referee didn't see, and cost him a #1 contenders match for a championship opportunity, a match Bron had been working toward for months. That attack left Bron on the mat, holding his ribs, staring up at the lights, watching his opportunity slip away. And you know what the Masked Man did? He stood over Bron and did Austin Theory's signature pose, the selfie pose, before running out of the ring and disappearing into the crowd. That was the clue everyone needed. But even with that blatant hint, nobody could prove it was Austin Theory. He had an alibi. He was supposedly in a meeting with management during that attack. But we all knew, deep down, the WWE universe knew it was him. Fast forward to this past week's episode, and we finally got the confrontation we'd all been waiting for. Bron Breakker came to the ring, and he wasn't in his wrestling gear. He was in street clothes, and he had a microphone. You could see it in his eyes. This man was done playing games. Bron grabbed that microphone, and his voice was shaking with barely contained fury. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "I don't care if it takes all night. I don't care if I have to drag every single person in that locker room out here one by one. The Masked Man is going to reveal himself tonight, or I'm going to start breaking people in half until someone tells me who it is." The crowd was going insane. The energy in that arena was electric because everyone knew we were about to get answers. And then the lights went out. When the lights came back on, the Masked Man was standing on the entrance ramp. The audacity of this guy. After weeks of hit-and-run attacks, after weeks of hiding in the shadows, he finally had the guts to stand face-to-face with Bron Breakker. Bron didn't waste a second. He charged up that ramp like a man possessed. But the Masked Man was ready. He hit Bron with a super kick right on the ramp, and Bron stumbled backward. The two started brawling right there at the top of the stage. Punches flying, bodies crashing into equipment, absolute chaos. Security tried to separate them, but these two were like rabid dogs. They fought through security, fought through backstage personnel, fought all the way through the backstage area and into the parking lot. The camera crew was struggling to keep up. The footage was shaky, but you could see everything. This was real. This was personal. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of fighting, Bron managed to get the upper hand. He slammed the Masked Man against a production truck, and the impact was so hard that the Masked Man crumbled to the ground. Bron stood over him, breathing heavy, sweat dripping down his face, and reached down to rip that mask off. The crowd erupted. The boos were deafening, because in that moment, every suspicion was confirmed. Every theory was validated. Austin Theory had been the coward behind the mask this entire time. But here's what nobody expected. Austin Theory started laughing. Even with Bron standing over him, even after being caught red-handed, Austin Theory had the nerve to laugh in Bron's face. He looked up at Bron and said something that the cameras just barely picked up. "You still don't get it, do you? I'm better than you, I'm smarter than you, and there's nothing you can do about it." What happened next can only be described as pure, unleashed fury. And I want to warn you right now, what I'm about to describe is brutal. This wasn't a wrestling match. This wasn't a competitive fight. This was a beating. This was a mauling. This was Bron Breakker making good on every single promise he'd made over the past 6 weeks. Bron grabbed Austin Theory by the throat and launched him into a nearby car. The impact left a dent in the door. Austin tried to crawl away, but Bron wasn't done, not even close to being done. He grabbed Austin by the back of his head and drove his face into the hood of another car. Once, twice, 3 times. The sound of Austin's face hitting that metal echoed through the parking lot. Security was trying to stop Bron, but it was like eyes stop a freight train. Bron shoved them aside like they were nothing. His focus was laser-locked on Austin Theory, and nothing was going to stop him from getting his revenge. Bron picked Austin up, and I mean picked him up like he weighed nothing, and military pressed him above his head. For a moment, everyone watching thought he was going to drop him right there on the concrete. But no, Bron walked Austin over to a pile of equipment crates and threw him onto them. The crates exploded on impact, equipment scattered everywhere, and Austin was buried in the wreckage. But Bron wasn't done. He pulled Austin out of the debris, and you could see Austin was already busted open. Blood was trickling down his forehead. His perfectly styled hair was a mess. His cocky smile was gone, replaced with a look of genuine fear. Because in that moment, Austin Theory realized exactly what he had done. He had awakened something in Bron Breakker that couldn't be controlled. Bron dragged Austin across the parking lot, and with every step, Austin was begging for mercy. I'm sorry, he was shouting. But Bron wasn't interested in apologies. Bron was interested in retribution. They reached the loading dock area, and that's where Bron delivered what might be the most devastating move I have ever seen in a backstage brawl. He grabbed Austin, positioned him perfectly, and hit him with a spear that sent both men crashing through a wooden pallet. The sound was sickening. Splinters flew everywhere. Austin's body went limp. For a moment, everything went silent. The camera operators didn't know what to do. Security stood frozen. Even Bron seemed to pause, standing over Austin's motionless body, his chest heaving, fists still clenched. And then, Bron picked up a piece of the broken pallet, held it above his head like a trophy, and let out a roar that echoed through the entire barking structure. It was primal. It was terrifying. It was the sound of a man who had finally gotten his revenge. Medical staff rushed to Austin Theory's side. They were checking on him, calling for a stretcher, genuinely concerned for his well-being. Meanwhile, Bron calmly walked away, his hands still taped from an earlier match. Blood, both his and Austin's, splattered on his shirt, and an expression of absolute satisfaction on his face. Now, let's talk about the